Everybody, it's Dan in the Nardy Chicken Garage. I'm back after a slight hiatus. Been busy at work with stuff, so it's been a few months since I've done a video. But anyway, it's good to be back and going to continue right on. It's about midway through November here, and we got a little fire on in the shop again because it was a little chilly in here this morning. And I'm going to go to work today on a KTM 150. So I've got the cleaning kit out first of all, and I'm going to give the bike a wash because it is dirty, and I want to make sure that everything is clean before I start doing the crankcase pressure sensor on this guy. All right, first step done. Give it a little coating, let it sit for 10 minutes or so in about 0 degree weather, so it'll probably freeze, but that's all right. Got a nice warm shop. And this is the next bike in line. This is a 19 150 carbed, which is what are we doing? Oh, we're rebuilding the rear master cylinder on this. We've got the cylinder off and we've taken it all apart, and we've got a rebuild kit coming in for it. Okay, step 2, washed, fairly decent, and just gonna let it drip dry in front of the fire while I go and load some wood. The nice thing about this 150 though, compared to my 300, which is sitting over there, is the crankcase pressure sensor is right there. I don't have to raise the swing arm, I don't have to take the throttle body apart. I can just reach right in there and basically disconnect that from behind this engine mount. I don't even have to take the engine mount out. So that means I don't have to raise the subframe, I don't have to take the shock off, not that I would because it's an XCW. I did take the muffler off, but I didn't even need to do that, so that's good news. So I'm going to get to that. Okay, so I just ended up taking 3 of the 4 screws out of the bottom of the tray. Okay, they're a little finicky. I didn't have to take anything off. The only thing I took off was the oil line that runs from the bottom of the tray to the crankcase, just to give me more room to push this down. And with a couple of hands, we were able to get our Torx inside here, which rests inside that tray, like so. And as you can see, and pop this out. So now we're just, that's the crankcase pressure sensor. And I'll take this off and just pull this little tab out. And you can see it's pretty mucky. But we'll put a new one in and see if that makes a difference. So here's the pressure sensor, crankcase pressure sensor I just took out of the 150. Connectors, hard to see in there with no light, but I checked them out and the connectors look fine. But the nipple that feeds into the hose line into the crank, it's quite dirty. There's a lot of muck in there. So anything that may have escaped past here and into, or up into, because the sensor sits like this, so anything that would have gone up and into the sensor itself most likely is the culprit. But we're going to see. I've got another sensor here, brand new. This is not a KTM / Husky sensor, but it is the exact same sensor. So I'm going to grease this a little bit and put it back in the tray and button everything back up. Okay, pressure sensor is back in place. So I took the oil line to the crank, the black line right there. Took that apart, cleaned it, although it didn't need to be cleaned. Luckily you could see right through it, which is a good sign. So I took this off, when I put the sensor back in the tray here, I greased the nipple of the sensor. Also greased a little barb end to the tray for the hose to slide back in a little bit. Put the connector back on for the oil pump. Now I'm going to prime the oil pump because I had this disconnected, just to be sure. Forgot, like I said, I can't really see up there, but there's 2 screws on this side of the tray, on the clutch side, or the magneto side, and there's 2 screws on the clutch side. And I ended up taking 3 of the 4 screws apart. The only one that I didn't take off was the very back one, way back there, closest to the shock. I could take all the other 3 off and then pry and take this hose off and then pry the tray down far enough to clear the oil tank and to clear the other side engine mount. I did end up taking the pipe off because it enabled me to get a little more room in there with my hands on the other side, and then was easily able to unscrew the actual screw that holds the pressure sensor in that tray. So putting everything back together, everything's all tightened up, and just going to put the pipe back on. We just also did a complete rebuild of the slave. This guy had absolutely no pressure. If you held the clutch in to about all the way and then let it go after a few seconds, there was no pressure in the lever right here, nothing. And when you let the clutch out, there was nothing. And then it would go back and forth. So we figured it needed a new slave build, which is what we did. And we found that when we took this slave apart, you can see the aftermarket gasket that's in there. This slave cylinder did not have a gasket on it. Now, I don't know if this slave was taken apart before. I mean, this is a 21, so I don't see why it would. But there was no slave gasket in there. Don't know if it was missed at the factory or if it didn't come with one. Maybe you guys can tell me. So, I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to take the throttle position sensor off here too and have a look at that and clean it out. It's probably full of crap in there as well, but see on the other side. You guys can tell me. Take the throttle position sensor off here too and have a look at that and clean it out. It's probably full of crap. Okay, just fired her up. TPI, so I'm going to let it go through a same warm-up process I do to my 300. I don't know what he's got his air screw set at, but anyway, it's stock. But it's oiling. It's good. I ended up not priming the oil pump because I didn't have the oil pump apart. I just had the hose to the crankcase off, so I didn't bother priming it again. I don't want to take it in the trails because I don't want to get this guy's bike dirty.